Imagine you're standing among a group of 30 people 40,000 years ago. It's getting dark. The group needs to make a decision. Which direction to hunt tomorrow? And you look around for a person, and the one who gives orders, the one in charge, the person all eyes will turn to. But you look everywhere and see no one sitting on a throne. So how is that decision made, and who leads the way? This is a trick question because you are picturing a modern-day election or a feudal coronation, but your ancestors chose their leaders in a completely different way. They didn't elect, nor did they crown anyone. The right to lead naturally came to the most deserving based on three very clear principles. First, they chose based on proven ability. The one who was best at tracking would lead the way. The one who was most skilled at resolving conflicts would step up to mediate. You were followed because you had done it, not because you claimed you could. Second, they chose through consensus. The whole group discussed, the whole group listened. Power flowed from the bottom up, from the consent of the crowd, rather than raining down from a throne. Third, they chose based on the situation and then revoked it. The guide of today returned to being a regular member tomorrow. Status was loaned out and then taken back. But granting power was only half the story. The other, more important half, was how they snatched it back. Scientists call this reverse dominance hierarchy. In a normal society, the strong control the crowd. But here, the crowd controlled the strong. They united their force against anyone who started acting superior, anyone who gave orders as if that power was their own. They snatched power back using the cheapest yet sharpest weapon: ridicule. In the Kalahari Desert today, the Hoansi tribe still maintains their hunter-gatherer lifestyle. When a man returns from a hunt with a large animal, the group does not cheer for him. They do the exact opposite. They criticize. They say the animal is just skin and bones. They joke and mock him until the hunter lowers his head. Why? The people of the tribe explain it this way. When a young man brings back a lot of meat, he begins to think of himself as a chief and thinks of the rest as his servants. So we criticize his meat to cool his heart, to let him know, no, he is still equal to everyone else. They extinguish his ego before it can grow into irrevocable power. This leveling mechanism is real, and it is applied coldly and precisely. This mechanism operated even on a massive scale. 7,000 to 600 years ago in Turkey, there was the Göbekli Tepe site. Hunter-gatherers without beasts of burden, without wheels, cut and erected massive stone pillars weighing up to 10 tons. Hundreds of people had to coordinate. There absolutely had to be someone commanding that massive construction site. But at Göbekli Tepe, no palaces or royal tombs have been found. The coordination was there, but the traces of a permanent boss were not. So if power was once so fluid, when did it freeze? At what moment did power detach from capability and attach itself to a bloodline? There were two paths. On the first path, a person had to earn their status through generosity and back-breaking work. The day he stopped giving, the crowd turned its back. But on the second path, status was tied to a bloodline, passed down from generation to generation. He could be talented or not. Here the choice had been taken out of the crowd's hands. And that happened very early on. Let's look at the Sungir burial site in Russia 34,000 years ago. In the middle of the Ice Age, there, two children aged around 10 and 12 were buried with a treasure. More than 10,000 beads made from mammoth ivory, requiring thousands of hours of manual labor to carve and polish, along with hundreds of pierced fox teeth. Meanwhile, the adult male nearby was buried in a much more modest manner. The paradox lies right there. Two children who hadn't had time to do anything yet, hadn't hunted any major beasts, hadn't led anyone. That status couldn't have been something they earned themselves. It could only be something they inherited. From 34,000 years ago, the concept of a status you were born with had already begun to spark. However, the human instinct to reclaim the right to choose never vanished. In the Iroquois Confederacy in North America, the ones who chose the leaders were not the strongest warriors. The choosers were the clan mothers. They were the ones who appointed, and they were the ones who held the power to depose. A leader who put himself above the interests of the people would be warned. And if he did not change, she had the right to strip him of his title. Power was proven to be merely a loan, and the lender could always demand it back. You will realize that these two ancient instincts still live within us today. On one side is the desire to rise up and lead. On the other is the simmering annoyance when we see someone acting superior the reflex to pull them back down to our level. Those two instincts clash in every election, in every boardroom, in every time you see someone get promoted and secretly wonder if they deserve it. The tug of war your ancestors started 40,000 years ago has never ended. It just changed stages. So the next time you stand in a crowd and wonder who is truly in charge, remember, for most of history, choosing a leader was never about handing power to a name and forgetting about it. It is a right the crowd always keeps in its hands, the right to decide whether to continue granting it or not.